Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Jesus Christ the Story Rock Ministries, where we preach Christ and Christ crucified. This is your servant Lillian, and today we are going to talk about being filled with the Spirit. Make sure that you watch till the end of the video. You will be blessed, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be a blessing to others. Let's get into it. Being filled with the Spirit. Having looked at the promise of the indwelling of the Spirit from the Old Testament books, the four Gospels and the book of Acts, and how this was fulfilled at the new birth, it is trist to note how that this is a one-time occurrence. Thus, when a man gets saved, he is born again. He receives the Spirit which now dwells in him forever. There are certain concepts that are then based on the fact that the Spirit lives in the believer. One of such is being filled with the Spirit. Let us observe what this phrase implies. It was used in the four Gospels, that it even before the fulfillment of the promise of the Spirit. Luke chapter 1 verse 41 says, "And it came to pass that when Elisabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the babe leaped in her womb, and Elisabeth was filled with the Holy Ghost." Verse 42, "And she spake out with a loud voice, and said, Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb." Luke chapter 1 verse 67, "And his father Zacharias was filled with the Holy Ghost, and prophesied, saying." In both instances above, Elisabeth and then Zacharias, an activity that was associated being filled with the Holy Ghost was speaking. Let us proceed to examine some accounts in the book of Acts. Acts chapter 2 verse 4 says, "And they were all filled with the Holy Ghost, and began to speak with other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance." The first use of the term filled with the Holy Ghost in the book of Acts was about the event of the day of Pentecost. This involved the 120 disciples, which included the 12 apostles. Observe that Peter's explanation of what happened to those that were astonished began with Joel's prophecy, which was concerning prophecy. In other words, what was heard by those gathered by was prophecy. Note that verse 4 had said that they were all filled with the Holy Ghost and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance. What then is the explanation for this? The epistles, particularly First Corinthians chapter 14, help us to understand the relation between tongues and prophecy. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 2 says, "For he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto men, but unto God. For no man understandeth him, howbeit in the Spirit he speaketh mysteries." When a man speaks in tongues, no one understands him. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 5 says, "I would that ye all spake with tongues, but rather that ye prophesied. For greater is he that prophesieth than he that speaketh with tongues. Expect ye interpret, that the church may receive edification." In verse 4, he had showed how a man that speaks in tongues edifies himself, but he that prophesies edifies the church. By verse 5, he showed that he that prophesies is greater than he that speaks with tongues, having explained that he that prophesies edifies the church, but he that speaks with tongues edifies himself. This he explains with the term expect he interpret. That is, prophesy would imply tongues, and its interpretation that can be of edification of the hearers. That's a big problem you have in the church right now, that people will just speak in tongues in name of prayer, and they don't explain, and somebody who don't speak in tongues will be confused, will be lost in a gathering like that, because you don't understand what people are talking. That's why it's very important when you speak in tongues, like in a gathering where people don't speak. You need to prophesy, you need to interpret what you are saying, so people will be edified. That is what this means. So from Act 2, being filled with the Spirit had to do with speaking, utterance. That's what I mean, utterance. So explanation of the tongues, interpretation of the tongues. This is very, very, very important. So please declare this with me. The Spirit lives in me, therefore I can choose to be filled with the Spirit, to supernatural utterances, to tongues, prophesy. I give myself always to this. I act on the word always. I act on the word always. Shalom. This is your servant